All right. Here we go. So I got Bridget McGuire here. I first started following, I mean, I knew who you were from back in these Western Springs, St. John of the Cross. Springdale days. But I first started following your comedy basically because you were from our area. We didn't actually, I wouldn't say we knew each other growing up, right? But our sisters, we were palling around with our older sisters. So we kind of like ran in the same circles, but I was too afraid to talk to anyone, especially a girl that was older than me. So I probably never said a word to you, but I did know you, and I did always love the name Bridget. We were going to name my daughter that.
Oh.
We went with Meg.
You chose my sister's name.
Yes, exactly. But we were going with Bridget for a long time, and then I don't know, something changed. But I've always loved that name. It's a nice.
Well, you guys could have a fifth child.
Oh God, no. God, no. I hope not. But yeah, our sisters were friends. We had the Western Springs, St. John's connection, LT connection. And at first when I was following you, I was like, oh, she's funny. She's just hilarious. Like I really thought it was good. And then I heard you talk about like the OCD thing and mental health and anxiety. And I was reading about your whole mental health journey, and it kind of lined up like exactly with mine. Like COVID played a big factor.
Yeah.
You know, you started doing something like comedy later in life. Like I'm starting to do this later in life. And it was almost like when I saw a pro athlete who they're like, and he's from Chicago, I was like automatically on board with that person. When I heard that you dealt with this, it was like, all right, now she's one of us.
Yes.
And I don't know, did you ever get that feeling with other people where you're like, yep, that's one of me?
Totally
like
click with them.
Yes.
But especially because I'm in New York now, so when I like hear the word Chicago, I'm like, oh, you're from Chicago?
Right,
like,
exactly.
Running across to find out where they're from. Yeah.
Yeah. That was like when I went to Holy Cross out on the East Coast for school. Like whenever I found out someone was from Chicago, like I automatically went over and talked to them.
Totally.
But yeah, that's like how I felt about you. Like I already liked the comedy, but when I heard you open up about what you went through, I thought it was really cool. And, you know, I honestly, I was thinking about this. I almost feel like, do you remember John L. Young, the principal of LT?
Oh, yeah.
So he used, I don't know if he did it with your class.
Well, he had a thumbs up.
Yeah, and he gave us one of these. Like I was almost like us, I don't want to say crazies, but us people, like we need a sign where like, almost like Larry David.
Like the Jeep wave?
Yeah. When you see someone, like you almost need the sign. So like, unfortunately, you don't know. And I think that's one of the things that I know we'll talk about. But personal story that I just want to start off with. I saw you last night at the Elm.
Thank you for coming.
Dan Spain will give you a shout out like Fisher did.
Yes. Now he's got 2 podcasts to listen to.
Yes, exactly. I was there with my wife, and like we thought it was hysterical. I thought you were hysterical. You had everybody locked in. All the other comedians were good as well. I told you this upstairs. The only problem is I wanted more.
That's so nice.
I wanted to see more. So I came home last night and I immediately bought tickets to your show. I know I'm going to have you plug this later, but on September 11th, what's it called again?
It's called Ballet Flats for Dinner.
Yeah. So at Zany's in Rosemont, like I immediately was like, all right, I need to hear more. And I know that you go into a little bit more about the mental health side in that, I'm assuming.
Yeah. There's more of there is an educational piece to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's kind of what I really like about you is it's almost like a lot of people can be funny, but like, I feel like you have the ability from what I've seen to like teach through the comedy, which I think is really, really cool. And I think it's really impactful. I mean, do you feel like that when you're up there doing it? Like
I think with this show, because I didn't always talk about OCD in comedy, like when I started and stuff. I had like one joke that I kind of did, but it was fine. But like I just, some jokes get, you do them for a few times and just kind of get lost, or, it was really early days. But selfishly, I actually started talking more about it because someone, I also like write and was doing comedy and stuff. And someone was like, you really need to be published somewhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I don't know. Like, what am I going to write to get published? and my day job is for Hearst magazines.
Yeah.
Like I'm in ad sales. And so we've got great brands. So, but some are like Women's Health, Prevention, Oprah Daily, Elle, Cosmo. But I reached out, because this was after the pandemic. It was 2021 or, after we were done with lockdown. And I reached out to Prevention and I was like, I have this pitch about my story with OCD. And honestly, I just wanted to say that you can find me in Prevention magazine. Like that was
right.
my goal, selfishly for my writing goals. And then I wrote the article, which is the story about me being diagnosed and everything. And I was really how this all took off in terms of the OCD element of my comedy is that so many people reached out to me. A lot were this made me really think I need to see a therapist, or not necessarily that they had OCD, but just I should talk to someone, whatever whatever is going on. And I think the bigger thing that surprised me was that people reached out and said, oh my God, I've seen some signs of this in my son or daughter.
Yeah, right.
And they're 8 or they're, 11 or 5. And I was like, oh, this actually could make a difference. I wasn't planning to go change the world, but I was like, oh, okay. And then the more I thought about it, and there are, as you saw last night, there are OCD has made me do some really crazy things that are very funny. In the moment, they're not that funny because you're living this panic, but afterwards you're like, that was ridiculous. And it makes for a good story.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's kind of, it's amazing because I think you can have, obviously as a comedian, you're going to be able to have an impact by, making people laugh and making their day more enjoyable. But I think with what you're doing, it's almost like you have the ability to then, change a life or maybe even save one. And I said that to Mike Fisher the other day. I don't think it's an exaggeration to say something like that. I've seen it just with what I've done, just talking.
Right.
And I've heard that. And I think you might not ever hear it from someone, but I do think, what you're doing has the ability to do that. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. But I wanted to talk about, my first question for you really.
Yeah.
It reminded me of a conversation that I had with your dad a couple months ago. So I saw Bridget's dad.
He's a great storyteller.
Yeah, he's just a great dude. He always pumps me up with whatever I did in the past or what I'm doing now. He's just great. And
I did tell you this to you earlier, but anyone listening,
I
told Jimmy earlier that the worst day of my dad's life was when I didn't make the sophomore basketball team at LT.
I can knowing him and talking to him, I can imagine that.
Yes. I blame Julia Hochberg for taking my spot as a freshman.
That's awesome.
Just kidding, Julie.
But yeah, when I was talking to him, he's like, yeah, Bridget's doing this stuff. I was like, I've seen it. I was like, she's hilarious. And he goes, Bridget has always been funny.
Oh.
And so I guess my question for you, is that true, or is that parent hubris like my dad used to have with me? He thought I was the second coming of Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
He would, or were you always funny, or is that something you kind of grew into?
No, well, I think 2 things. One, I'm the youngest of 3, so
Yeah.
I was always wanting attention.
Mm-hmm.
My sister reminded me a couple months ago that I used to ask for an agent for Christmas to be discovered. And so I think I was funny. I think, I think a lot of just youngest children, typical kind of craziness. And then, I don't know, I have a really funny group of friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm surrounded by very funny people. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I think but I didn't start comedy until I was 35 years old. So
yeah, right.
didn't know, I guess I wanted to be on stage when I was 8, according to my sister.
Yeah, but you were always, I guess that kind of reminds me of when you are surrounded by other athletes, you kind of feed off of each other.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, my friends, it's always riffing and making fun of each other.
Yeah.
We love each other, but ripping each other apart.
Yeah, right.
A very Chicago.
Yes. I saw a study about how good that is.
You just read it?
Yes, recently.
I just saw it too. It was I'm okay, well, we're in the right place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I think it is so, even with my stuff, the guys in my office, they'll make jokes about some kind of dark stuff, but they know I'll laugh at it. It almost is like they know I'm going to laugh at it, and me laughing at it makes them know that it's like okay. And
and they're laughing like you're like laughing with each other. No one's
Right.
like making fun of
Yeah.
like meanly, you know.
Yeah,
So,
right, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think, you know, I was very like loud and, you know, annoying.
Yeah.
Youngest child.
You took a different approach as the youngest child because I was a mute. Like I told you before, I was a mute, just silent, like wouldn't say anything.
I wonder if the difference though is that you were like the only boy.
True.
So I'm sure you got a lot of attention from your
mom. My mom didn't leave a lot of room to talk because she loved talking.
Yes.
But yeah, so I want to talk about like we grew up in the same area.
Yeah.
Went to St. John of the Cross.
Yep.
Like, what are some interesting? You have any memories from the St. John of the Cross era that you would like to share? I know you talked about yesterday we talked about, which I thought anybody would think it was hilarious, but I think specifically coming from this area, the robber crown thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It always does, you know, it does well. I did the show in New York and I've done that joke in other cities and it does well. But like when people know what robber crown is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I love St. John's and, you know, go Wildcats, but
yeah.
I mean, we were taken. Like I didn't like Family Life was our version of sex ed.
Yes. Which, by the way, I'm a health educator, so I'm like an expert.
Oh, you are. Yes. But you're teaching high school kids.
High school kids, yeah. So
which actually might be worse. I don't know. That's
sometimes it is.
Yeah. And I just remember it just like really freaked me out, and like no one gave me. You know, there was never like a birds and bees talk in my family. As part of the story, my mom.
Yeah, they just like sent you there.
Yeah, they're just like learned that, and I was like, we're supposed to just walk, like go to home that night and be like, you know, can I pass the peas? Was anyone gonna tell me what I saw today? Like it was so whatever.
So you're like, mom never. My dad. Okay, this is a funny story. So my dad had these books from the Thomas Ford Library that he had rented, and he was chasing me around the house, trying to sit me down. I was like, no, I don't want to listen to this. And like eventually he got me to sit down. He showed me everything he talked about, and I was like, oh, gross. I'll never want to do that. And then my dad, I'll remember this to this day exactly. He goes, trust me, Jim, you will. And I was like, that's the thing I remember about that. I don't know if I'm gonna have to X this out, but as a teacher, but
you're like,
but you never had it. They never talked about it with you.
No, I remember like one time we were driving Katie to like someone's house when she was like a freshman.
Yeah.
And so I was in 5th grade, and I feel like I don't know why my mom was like asking if like boys were gonna be there, and I feel like she said the words like, it can get dangerous territory if there's heavy petting. This is so gross. Also, petting is like a dog. Like, why? And I didn't think Katie was like gross and like ran out of the, you know, like it was like, what? And
I said that term the other, like in
class.
People were like, what are you talking about? I'm like, okay, good. You don't
but
know
my
that.
mom also says things like, she'll say stuff like, you know, someone will be telling a story or watching a movie, and then she'll be like, what did I miss? Did she go to bed with him? And I'm like, are you from biblical terms? Like Joseph and the amazing technique. Like, I was like, go to bed with him. Like, I just, what?
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what, I mean, I'm sure our parents weren't spoken to at all about it.
Oh, for sure.
And then in the 80s and 90s, they're like
Yes.
trying to talk and like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I should ask my sisters. I don't know what talks they've had. No one wants to do a talk about it.
No, not at all.
No.
Although, yeah, my youngest is getting towards that age. I'm like, oh god, that's gonna be brutal. Or my oldest.
Oh,
I mean.
yeah.
Do you have any other do you think your time at St. John's, does anything from that era, like, you think molded you into like being a comedian? Maybe molded your.
I mean, I got in trouble for talking a lot.
Yes, so did my wife in school.
Yes, yeah. I come from a long line of chatty Cathys.
Yeah.
You know, shout out to my Aunt Sheila. Yeah. Love her. She was really good friend of your mom's.
Yes, yeah.
She has the gift of gab.
Yeah.
You know, my mom's side does too. My dad's side, I would say, is the stronger talkers.
Yes.
So I think that I was in trouble for talking a lot. I mean, I loved St. John's. I mean, there were always, I always feel like seventh grade's always a hard year for kids, just the awkward year. But I feel like by eighth, like I think everyone had a good time. I think, I do laugh. I make a joke. I'm like, if you're a eighth grader at a Catholic school, all you do the whole year is what is it? All you do is diagram sentences and practice for May crowning. Like the entire year. It's like first day back from like winter break. They're like, we're going to go over and practice for May crowning. You're like, yes. It's January 4th.
That's amazing.
No, I don't know. It was just like have you been back? Like, if you ever go back to the school, you realize how big you thought it was and how small the lockers are.
I have been or like you go into the bathroom. I'm like, oh my God,
these bathrooms. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think, I don't know. We had a great time. I mean, I feel like a lot Memorial games.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah. That was really cool.
That was really cool. And it's cool that they still do it.
Oh yeah.
Now they have better shirts, but we like make our shirts with like felt.
Yeah. Do you remember so like I said, I didn't talk to girls, but I remember, Rob Filio.
Sarah Filio is one of my really good best friends. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hilarious. And he's always really liked me, I think, but I think because during Memorial games, like instead of shooting, I like hit his daughter Jackie and she made a couple of shots.
Oh, she did?
Yes. And I swear I think that's why he'll probably listen to this, but I think that's why he likes me.
We need confirmation.
Yes.
You get a nice bounce pass.
Well, I'm sure he likes my mom too. But
Yeah. That's a good memory of St. John's, honestly, is your mom subbing.
Yeah.
Like,
she was
best
fun.
sub ever.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I used to get like embarrassed of it, and like now, like looking back, I'm like, oh God, I wish I wouldn't have got.
But it's always like, I think that's just like a kid.
Right. Yeah.
Like your mom is the sub. Like it's like, oh, but like your mom, everyone loved her. Like there were some subs I feel like people would be like, oh no, but like it'd be like the best day if Mrs. Maley was there.
Do you remember what she wrote on the blackboard?
Oh shoot, what would
before she would?
Yes.
Teach?
Wait. What was it?
Mrs. Maley, 6 feet tall.
Yes,
so
yes.
No one would ask her.
And how tall's your dad?
He's like 6'5".
Oh, so you're taller than your dad.
I'm taller than my dad, yeah.
And then what are Katie and Kelly?
Kelly's like 6'1" and Katie's like 5'10".
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Oh, what a shrimp.
I know. No, that's funny. I'm glad you brought that. I do think my mom was like ahead of her time in terms of she would like make games out of everything, even in school. Like there would always be games with like teaching stuff, and I always thought
she made it fun.
Yeah, which is kind of what they're trying to get all of us to do now.
No, it's like
she was doing that 30 years ago.
Yeah,
when it wasn't.
Oh God,
really
yeah.
thing.
She's a really big. She was there a lot too.
Yeah,
even if she wasn't subbing, I feel like she was there.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
All right, so we got the St. John's. I know I'm gonna kind of skip over like the whole LT.
Yeah.
You kind of want to talk more just strictly about like the OCD that you were talking about, like. What like when did you first, you probably didn't recognize it at the time necessarily, but like looking back, when do you think you first started showing those signs?
I think when I was like 5 and 6.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I lived one thing is that I lived 6 houses from St. John's.
Yeah.
So we walked to school.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like terrified, like I quit brownies. Brownies like before Girl Scouts. It's like the first grade one. I did it and I didn't join Girl Scouts, or maybe I quit brownies halfway through because I was like terrified my mom would forget to pick me up.
Sorry, I don't mean.
No, I know.
I don't mean to laugh.
But like we lived like could have walked home.
Yeah, no, I know exactly where you live.
So so it was like if worst case scenario, like someone could have even walked another parent,
right.
And there were some moms that were like some of my friends whose moms were like always late. You know what I mean? They'd be like,
right.
"Oh, my mom's not here," and I'd be like, "She's not coming," and she'd be like, "I promise you, I will pick you up." She wasn't even like a tardy person,
Yes. Did you tell her that's why you didn't want to do it, or did you?
Yeah, but you're gonna forget me, and she's like, "No, I promise." And there was no incident that had happened that spurred that.
Yeah.
I do think I come from a long line of warriors.
Yeah.
Like my grandpa, my mom's dad was very like hilarious and great guy, but very like an anxious person. Was always like consumed with stuff. So, I think that's our first signs. And then I think as I got older, like my mom would, if she ever had to go on a business trip, I'd make sure that she'd call the office.
Yeah.
And know that I landed.
Yeah.
There's a lot of worries there. And then I was terrified to always stay home alone and babysit because I was afraid someone was going to break in.
Oh, so
which
I talked to Claire. What was her maiden name?
Bicey. Yeah.
I talked to her at the pool the other day. I think I told you this. She basically said that you would let them stay up forever and then tell them to pretend they were sleeping right before the parents got home.
Probably was selfishly, so I was like, I'm not worried.
She said it was amazing. She said it loved you. You did Ricky Lake shows.
That I do have to think. Annie White babysat with me. Like we both babysat for them a lot, and I think Ricky Lake might have been the brainchild of Annie White. But we played it, and it's actually a fun way to.
Oh, I'm sure. My wife was saying that they would play Jenny Jones. Is who they would do.
Yes, Jenny Jones. We had a babysitter that would always let us stay up.
Yeah.
And you'd think it was so late, but it was probably like 10:30. I don't think the Biceys were coming home at like 3 in the morning, so it wasn't that late, but I'd just be like, okay, your parents are going to be home. Like they knew,
Yeah.
I don't think John was the youngest one. I think he probably was asleep, but the girls, yeah.
Yeah, you let them know.
Yeah.
And now they remember it. Now they're telling
the
story.
Right. But other times babysitting, I would be so afraid. And I don't know if that's OCD or just, I don't know. Some of my friends were never, I'd be like, oh, I want to go babysit, but then I'd be like, oh my God, like someone's going to break in and kill us all.
Yeah.
Like just kind of thoughts like that.
Yeah. Well, because when I was reading first of all, I think it's very hard to be funny, period. But I think it's harder to be funny writing. And I was reading some of your stuff and I laughed out. I can't even remember what it was, but I laughed out loud. But when I was reading it, there were a couple of things where I'm like, shoot, I feel like I did some stuff I remember going to go play basketball games, and I would look in my bag, and my mom would mention it. She would be like, all right, stop. I would look in my bag over and over to make sure I had all my, 50 times.
Yeah.
And then even, I used to throw up every single day of high school basketball practice.
Like afterwards?
No, during. I would go over to...
And keep playing?
Yeah.
Puke and rally?
Sometimes I'd do it right on the floor. I would just keep going. They'd have to bring some guy in.
Oh my
God.
Do it.
And I would do it every single day, but I think there was an anxiousness.
Half nerves.
Anxiousness. I would work myself up to it. And when I was reading your stuff, I was like, I wonder if I had either anxiety or there was obsessive. Because I am obsessive. I'm obsessive. Even about all of this, I'm obsessive. And I'm always wondering, does that play a role in it? I don't know.
Probably.
I'm asking you. You're my therapist.
I'm like, I mean, maybe. I think a lot of people have. I think a lot of people have anxiety. I think a lot of people have can have obsessive tendencies too.
Yeah.
That people after the show, a lot of people will be like, "Do I have OCD?"
Yeah.
and they usually don't. But your people have little ones.
Yeah,
but it's just not just debilitating.
It was all consuming for you, kind of.
Yeah, well, it ebbed and flowed.
Yeah.
And it still does, but I just now have more of the tools to really name it and not let it get as big as it could get.
Yeah. So
I don't know if you have that too with.
Yeah, I think I have. I think I've figured some. Or one, I think the biggest thing for me has been just being honest about everything, talking about it.
Right.
Talking about it in front of groups of people, which some people may think that's that would make you more depressed at times. I reliving things. It's actually the exact opposite for me. I feel better doing it. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, because I think, when I was diagnosed officially in college, the woman gave me a book called the OCD workbook.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. And I went back and I read it, and the relief I felt by reading these case studies, examples.
Yeah.
Some didn't resonate because I don't have some of the types.
Yeah.
But I remember it was these are and there's stories that make you go, oh my God. But it was a new dad that had OCD, and he was afraid to literally make a sandwich around his baby because he's like, what if I just took this knife and stabbed her?
Oh my God, yeah.
Horrible thought. But that's people might have a weird thought. One therapist explained to me, people have a million thoughts a day, and some are why did I think that? And most people are just And that was weird. And they just like go on about their day. But like the person with OCD will be like, why did I think that? And then they ruminate on it and they're like, oh my God, do I really want to do that? Like, I probably shouldn't touch this knife because what if I actually just like have this break and I just end up like, and it's like such a horrible thought.
Yeah.
But it's so crazy because I read that thing and I was like, oh my God, I'm not totally crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's like a sense of relief, right? Like when you
when I see someone else that had it, like when
Yeah.
like you were saying, like when you, like the guy from Chicago or
Yeah.
like a professional athlete talking about it, then
Yeah.
you're like, I'm like, when I read that book, I was like, oh my God, this is like a thing.
Yeah.
Because if it was not a thing, then I really would think I was crazy.
Yeah, right.
And like unsafe to be around,
Yes, yes.
So but then I tell this in my show, but I never saw the therapist again. I never returned the book. But I would bring it out time to time when I would like have a flare and be like, oh my God, I'm the worst person. And then I'd be like, okay, no, this is actually just this OCD, and kind of helped me manage it. But like,
now, were you open about that with other people at that time, or did you keep that to yourself? Kept it to yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the Irish way.
Yeah. I told that one therapist, she gave me a book and I was like, we're done here.
I got it.
Yeah, I got it. I got this covered. I mean, people probably knew because I'd be like anxious and ruminate about other things.
Right.
But I don't think they knew some of the extent because it's so the program I ended up going to, and then the guy that his name's like Dr. Pat McGrath, and then he started this program or this company called NoCD.
Okay.
And he specializes just in OCD and helping people get treatment. And they do a lot of like virtual. It's a great organization. But at the time, so basically what happened was, just to do the story, like, so I got diagnosed at 19, did not do anything with it. In my 20s, I saw therapists all the time, but was never like fully honest about it, or would never really do the work. Yeah. Because there was, there's work around, and like, it's kind of like, I don't want to do this, and I feel kind of okay. So it's kind of like when you're like taking an antibiotic, and they're like, take it for the 14 days, no matter what. But by day 8, you're like, I'm fine. And then you forget one, and then you're like, you know what I mean? But then it could come back. Yeah. And that's how I feel like I was with therapy. Like, I'd kind of do some stuff, and then I wouldn't. So during the pandemic, when I eventually went and got, my therapist was like, I can no longer help you. You need to go to this outpatient. I went to Alexian Brothers, which it was actually over Zoom. So it was outpatient over Zoom, because it was the pandemic. And the head guy there walked around with a piece of paper in his wallet that said, I hope my family gets in a car accident today. Just to show you that he's like, I do not mean that at all. I love my family more than anything in the world. But this is just a thought, like written on a piece of paper. He's like, it means nothing. Yeah. But like when you hear that thought, you kind of like cringe. Yeah. And what happens with OCD is when you have a thought like that, you cringe, or you're like, oh my God, or what if that could happen? And then people act and they do compulsions to try and like solve the answer for having that thought. Yeah.
So you like, and then when you're thinking, like, do you just keep, like, is it like thoughts are going through your head like nonstop, and then it causes you to almost be like debilitating?
Yeah, or you're like feel so like you feel it in your body. Yeah. Like you could feel like so sick to your stomach, or you feel like, especially if you feel that way, then you think, well, if my stomach hurts, that must be it's real. But OCD, like, would you get into the show and probably gave you a glimpse last night, but like biggest fear of pregnancy ever. For no reason. For a very long time, there was like really no reason. And like but I have had morning sickness so many times. Well, it started at 11, and the show last night. But like there'd be other times where I'm like, oh, has to be like insane, but my body literally did have those symptoms. Yeah. Kind of like manifest, because you can kind of make, your head is very connected to your brain's connected to your body. So
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, but he put that in there, and it's OCD likes to harp on like your values. Yeah. That man does not want to kill his family. That guy does not want to stab his baby. Yeah. But you just think like, could I do that? And then you're off to the races. Yeah. Debilitating. And I always like still went to work.
Mm-hmm. Like in college, were you able to like study Like if you had to sit down, were you able to like?
Depends on like what
Yeah.
was going on.
Yeah.
If I was really anxious about something, like no. And I think at times then I was like not a good friend.
Yeah.
I get really anxious in relationships, so I think like a lot of times, like after a certain amount of time, like I think I ruin relationships.
Yeah.
Because I'm so obsessed about the future of what could happen that I'm like, I just should probably just sabotage this right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not my real self. So then the person's like, this person's nuts.
Yeah.
We talked about the use of nuts and it's the loony bit. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what we were talking about with my wife. It's like our way to kind of like joke around about like my time where I had to go to, be hospitalized, and we do call it the time in the loony bin, and people might think that's weird, but it is like just a way to kind of normalize it, because kind of like you, who COVID seemed like it kind of turned some things around for you. For me, COVID was the worst thing. Like that was when I got the worst ever, but it also, I think, allowed me to like find the actual solution instead of like temporary ones along the way, if that makes sense. So it like almost ended up being a good thing, even though it ended up being almost the worst
thing. Totally. Yeah. Well, yeah, because I had started to see a therapist right before COVID and like really do work, and then COVID happened and I couldn't see her anymore.
Yeah.
And then my OCD wasn't that bad because I wasn't leaving the house.
Yeah, you're just there.
Yeah, so I'm like, I can't really like, burn a building down if like I'm not, like leaving my house with a candle lit. Like, so it actually, and other people had given me, had talked about maybe like a therapist, or actually it was like another comedian who had OCD, and she and I talked about it. She had told me of this program, maybe in like 2018 or maybe 2019, whatever. And I was just like, yeah, but like it was like from 6 to 9 in the suburbs, and I lived in the city and had worked in the city. I'm like, well, I can't make it. Exactly. I'm like, how am I going to get, and I just like, I had so many excuses. And then with COVID, there was like no excuse because there was nothing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was actually, well, at the time, so you're saying you had to, it wasn't online at the time before COVID?
No, it was like I'd have to drive.
So COVID made it so they had to put it online.
They had to put it online, and also like, when I like first heard about it, I'm like, this is Monday through Thursday from 6 to 9. I was like at Buffalo Grove, and my office was in the Loop. So I'm like, well, I'd have to leave work at like 4. Yeah. Which like, yeah. Like maybe that would help you.
Yes, exactly.
So that like in months you'll be a better employee and a better person. But like I'm like, well, I can't. Then I'm like, I just was like, well, how would well, what if I had a stand-up show, or what if I had a date? Like it's like, well, then go on the date Friday, or like don't do stand-up during the week. Like this is bigger than all of those things. But I just no.
Well, I guess when I saw your show and when I've seen some of your stuff, one of the things, like, what are some misconceptions about? Because I was thinking you were going to be talking about like being super clean all the time and like being, like moving stuff around, and like that's how I always interpret it. Like what?
And there are people that have OCD that have that type of OCD.
Yeah.
I just don't. There's just so many, like, people don't know that. Like some people have like they get like really into, which I'm always like, do you ever do this? Like when you learn about a new thing, you're like, oh, I hope I don't add that one to my list. A new worry.
Yes.
I feel like some of my friends and I'll be like, I don't want to hear your worries because I might add it to my worries. They're like, should I hear this? But like one is like religious. Like they're very like, or some people like they need to say, like, they think something's going to happen. So they like are very focused on like the religion factor and need to say like prayers.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like there's, and I feel like I did in the big scope of things, maybe my OCD is more like mild than like extreme, because I follow a lot of people on Instagram that are OCD stories. And I know that this is one woman that's like doing great, but like she like literally did not leave her bedroom in her parents' house and would like crawl out the window if she had to leave because she was afraid she'd like contaminate the front door. So there's different types. There's like contamination OCD. Yeah. Like a lot of people are afraid of getting sick. There's then there's things that like people that do need stuff like, move. There's like different types. There's relationship OCD, you know, and then I think a lot of it too, though, is their compulsions. So like maybe some people, it's like this all has to be facing this way or else something bad will happen. Yeah. So, but I know I am not like a neat freak at all.
Yeah, neither am I. Like, yeah. Well, like I was thinking too, when I was thinking about it in terms of COVID, did that have any, like I gotta have my math, like I can't, like, did you get obsessive about that? Because I would assume some people
No, yes, I think I had the normal amount of COVID concern. Okay. Like I was worried and like would wear, you know, I think I was pretty just the average person, like, you know, like very strict in the beginning, and then the more like, you know, in the summer would, you know, I feel like people started to hang out outside and, you know, but you just, so, but no, weirdly, no, there's like some I don't, but like COVID, which you talk about, COVID just took a really big spin on STDs for me. I remember telling my sister, and she's like, you haven't seen a man in like 9 months.
You never know that.
Yeah, you never, what if, you know? So.
Well, didn't you say, like, I was reading something like that you would think that, well, what if you like fell asleep and like some man, like you could be pregnant?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was like, I mean, and the pregnancy fears, well, I even said last night, like, I thought as an 11-year-old that I was pregnant from a man touching our legs by accident on the monorail. So like, yeah. Or, you know, a lot of it would be like, oh my God, like what if I, you know, went out with my friends and I was drunk, and what if I don't remember and I met someone and don't remember, and like I got pregnant with them, and it's like, well, no, you do remember. But I mean, drinking's not great because that can always make people go like, well, what did I say or something? So, you know, there were times that was just like, you know, I remember I was like with my sister Katie, and this was pre-COVID. She came downtown. We went out for dinner, and then we went to like a little bar and had like 2 drinks after the bar. So we maybe had like 4 drinks over like 4 hours and came home. And the next day I was like, I need to go take Plan B. No, I know why. Because we were sitting outside, it was like in the summer, and some like random man like walked past our table. It was some weird guy, and he was like, ladies, do you want to go to some party? And we were like laughing and like made like, you know, we're like, yeah, but like kidding. Like he was just some like old man with like disco pants on. It was, I don't know, I forget. And we just like made small talk and like joked around. And then we went home, went to bed, like watched TV, went to bed. Like there's no like, oh, I was so hammered I don't remember anything. Like, and someone randomly like I had a missed call from someone. I'm like, what if I gave that man my number and I don't remember, and like went to the bathroom and Katie didn't see, and like something happened and I left and I went to this party, and now I'm pregnant with this man in the 70s. Just, she was like, what?
Well, now at this time, did she know about
my family knew. I mean, yeah, they knew I had OCD, and people probably knew. I probably was like, yeah, I have OCD, but like I had it. I just didn't do anything.
Yeah, you didn't do anything about it.
I was on like anti-anxiety medicine.
Yeah.
I just didn't, and I saw therapists, but I just wouldn't like do the work. And I also feel like sometimes with therapists too, I just didn't tell them everything. Mm-hmm. So they might focus more on the anxiety I was having, and some of the anxiety tools are not good for people with OCD. Yeah. This is a different type of therapy.
Yeah. So like you wouldn't. That's what's funny is.
But like, she was like, please do not go buy Plan B. She's like, your apartment is 700 square feet. It didn't even have a full bedroom. It was like this weird pony wall. Yeah. And she's like, you were there the whole night. And I was like on the other side. And I'm like, but what if you were asleep and I escaped? And she's like, I don't know what to tell you. She's like, I was like, should I call my building and ask for like video footage? And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go buy Plan B. I'll just solve it. And she's like, I mean, it's insane.
Yes. Well, gosh, that would be hard to. And then like, it seems like you couldn't stop yourself like when you were like that. Like,
no, because I was like so anxious, and I'm like, this is the solution. If I just pop this pill,
Yeah.
any chance of pregnancy, which is actually, it's like not foolproof. But also then after I took the pill, I would be like, well, I know I didn't really do that.
Yeah.
But I just needed that like reassurance seeking, and just I needed an answer so bad.
Yeah.
And that was like a pretty good answer.
So like when you're in that state, can you, like, cause this is what I always say when I'm like starting to get depressed, I don't understand that I'm starting to get, like, it's almost like my wife needs to be like, hey Jim, I think you're starting to get depressed. Like I needed someone else to see it, because when I'm like that, I couldn't see it. Is that like when you're like, do you know, like, oh shoot, this is my OCD, or are you just like?
I'm better at naming it now.
Okay.
Like now I'll be like, that is OCD talking.
Yeah.
And it can sit with me. And part of like one of the things I do is like, there's a couple different things you do for it, but one is like delaying the compulsion.
Okay. Is that there? I was looking at the therapy.
That one is
MV or
ERP.
Okay.
That's exposure response prevention,
Okay,
and that is also exposing yourself to like an example is I would say like I took a picture of everything in my apartment before I left for years.
Yeah.
So I would take a picture of the stove and make sure it's off, candles that have never been lit. But I was like, today's the day they're going to light themselves, you know, and burn this whole building down. So it would be like, you know, exposure response prevention is like exposing yourself to the candle and then not like preventing yourself from acting on the response. So the response for me would be taking a picture of it.
Yeah.
And the exposure would be like, okay, I see this candle and I'm going to not take a picture and I'm going to leave and I'm going to go to work today.
Yeah.
And just put yourself through it. And then the easier thing would be to take a picture. And I never would even go back and look at the pictures because I'm like, I know I didn't light a candle before I left.
Right.
But like, I'm like, without that like evidence, I was like, well, what if I just don't remember lighting the candle? And then.
So would you like come up with like certain things that would normally trigger you, and then you would
that's what you do. Yeah, they like
Okay.
made me make a list of like what are the things that really trigger you. And also for COVID, it had to be like, what can you work on now?
Yeah.
Because some stuff didn't really make sense because I wasn't living in the real world.
Would you have to like go have guys touch you on the leg to make sure?
I know my therapist was like, because I had told her some of them, and she's like, well, I'm not going to be like, yeah, go to Vegas and have unprotected sex with 90 people and just roll the dice, you know? If you have to cut that, I understand.
No.
Yeah, no, it's more just like there's some that you can't really do because they're like would be like, you know, like she wouldn't be like light a candle today and leave.
Yes. Yeah.
But it could be like light a candle, blow it out, then leave.
Okay.
But she's, you know, they're not going to do like put yourself at risk or something that's like dangerous, but like yeah, but it could be like, yeah, light a candle tonight and tomorrow morning, like wake up and go to work and like you just look at the candle and don't take a picture of it.
So that you think that's been like very helpful?
Yes.
Yeah. And you didn't do that? Like, were they trying to get you to do that for a long time and you're just like, nah, I'm good?
Yeah, well, you know.
Or is that more like a newer thing, kind of?
That, when I started with my therapist, who I'm still with in February of 2020, that's when we started working. But then COVID, March 13th. So we only had like 4 or 5 sessions or something.
Yeah.
And then we were doing it just one-on-one, but I went and stayed at my sister Katie's house. I was like, oh, can I come for 2 weeks? And then stayed for like 4 months. Because I was like, there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, I'm not even like leaving a house.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, my OCD's cured.
Yeah, I'm good.
And then I was like, not so fast.
When did you start, like, I know you wrote those articles. Was that like the first time that you kind of let it be known?
Yeah, I think to like the general public.
Was that hard for you?
No, I think because maybe I've been putting myself out there with comedy.
Okay, so you had already been talking about it a little bit?
Yeah.
Was that hard to first do? Like for the first time when you...
To do stand-up or to do...
No, well, both. Oh, I guess both, but to like expose the OCD factor.
I think... I feel like if I was like on a date with someone, I wouldn't be like, hey, I've got OCD. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
But if I got to know the guy or I started dating someone, I'd probably be like, oh, I have OCD, but I probably wouldn't like give it that much. I maybe just kind of disguise it as anxiety.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But I feel like my friends knew, but I wasn't. But I don't know. I do think like I put in the article, like I think people would be like, oh, she's spiraling, but I wasn't. It wasn't like one of my coworkers once called me the most anxious, laid back person she knows.
Yes.
And I was like, yeah, I think that fits.
Yeah.
Because she was like, you worry about the most like the random stuff, like
yeah,
like it's like so. I think people, I was open about it. I guess I didn't know. Like I said, I was like, oh, I'll write this if they want me to write it. And it was like, I felt like good writing it.
Yeah.
And I was proud of doing the work and actually getting help and doing this treatment because it was life-changing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, and like, I'm wondering if you get this, like, when you're on stage, is it just like you're feeling like the anxiety stuff goes away?
You know, that's something that is like the best because I could be really anxious about something, whether it's OCD related or just even something like personal, you know, having an issue with a friend or something, you know, I don't know, whatever. If you have a fight with someone, not that I'm getting in fights with people, but you know what I mean? But like, you know, like if I was dating someone or if I liked some guy and I was like, is he going to call? Like I don't know. The minute I get on stage, I like forget about the rest of the world for about 15 minutes. It's like the one time I'm very good at like compartmentalizing, feeling like, okay, for 15 minutes, my goal is to make these people laugh.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't laugh.
Yeah. Well,
and you have two things to worry about. Yeah.
Is it because like I always say I was horrible with uncertainty? That's why I think COVID got to me because like everything was so uncertain. Where I feel like when I was in control, like playing basketball, like when I would play basketball, there'd be times where like I'd be so nervous beforehand, and then when it started, it'd be like, all right, I'm good because I can control, or at least somewhat control.
Somewhat, yes, totally.
And then even now, like when I'm speaking in front of people, I get almost that same feeling of like, okay, I can control. I got complete control now. And did you have like struggles with that, like uncertainty?
Oh, well, yeah.
Well, obviously the whole thing, but
yeah, all of it's like not knowing the future or what could happen. The worst thing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know, so uncertainty. So that's why I like loved Plan B because it was and even though it's not.
Yeah.
But it's pretty close enough, I guess. You know what I mean? But like, so, getting a certain answer to know, you know, which is why Google is like my worst enemy because you can find the answer you want and the answer you don't want in the same search.
Yes. I've diagnosed myself with like multiple types of
everything,
cancer.
everything. Yes. So it's just, so no, but I do feel like I am I'm in control of holding that microphone and doing my jokes, whether they bomb or they do great.
See, have you bombed? I can't imagine you bombing.
Yeah.
Really?
So many times. Actually, some of my...
Was early on or like...
Yeah, or even like now, you'll just be like, oh, like not like...
Yeah, but is that you in your head thinking that versus... You know what I mean? Like, versus what actually, like, the audience actually did like it, but you're thinking like, oh, God, like, they didn't like...
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess... I mean, there's been times where I'm like, wow, that does not go well.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can have they're the same jokes.
Yeah.
And I could do the same set, like, back to back. Actually, it happened last week. I had, like, 5 shows in a row. And I did the same set at 2 places. And in one place, I was like, that was the best feeling in the world. Like, they were awesome. And I was like, I love it. And the next place, they were like, staring at me like, what? And I'm like, okay. And sometimes you have to read the room to be like, these jokes are going to work better with a younger audience or maybe people that are parent. You know what I mean?
I was going to ask you that. When you're up there, do you like switch, like, just because sometimes when like I'm speaking, I always say like, I don't want to do it over Zoom because I can't see because sometimes like I swich things up
totally
based on like how I feel.
Yes.
Like do you do that sometimes? Where
you can kind of tell the crowd.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just starting to do the OCD jokes as stand-up bits.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, one of my buddies who's a comic was like, you can just, because I'm like, well, it's more of a story. And he's like, yeah, just put like, set it up with a good opener. He's like, and just, you have to like, and then go. And so I was like, last night I was actually thinking maybe I shouldn't, maybe I should default to other stuff, but I'm like, no, I really want to do it, so I just did it.
Yeah,
I also knew it was like a supportive room, a lot of people I knew, so I was like even
I wanted to see it.
Yeah. So yeah, but sometimes they will switch it up. Sometimes they'll be like, okay, this crowd is like, it's kind of late and they're young and they're kind of drunk. I'm like, they're not gonna get into OCD right now. Or sometimes I'm like, they are just 20 years younger than me, and like, I did a show not too long ago, and there was a girl in the audience who was 18, and I mentioned like Carrie Bradshaw, and I was like, do you know who Carrie Bradshaw is, right? And she was like, no. And I'm like, what?
I do that all the time teaching.
Yeah, you're like, oh
serious?
God, I know. We're starting to sound like old people.
Yes.
They're like, I can't believe you don't know who that person is.
Yeah, right,
And
exactly.
they're like, okay, because we weren't born in 1955. But yeah, so sometimes I switch it up kind of based on the crowd. But yeah, I do, because I just, or sometimes I'll think I'm going to do a certain set, and then for some odd reason, a random joke comes out of my mouth, and then I'm like, well, I guess I'm going this route. Like, so yeah, I change it. I don't really, unless it's like for my solo show, it's very like, it's the same order because it has a follow through. It's like a full storyline.
Gotcha. Well, all right. So let's say you do bomb.
Yes.
Does that trigger? Can that trigger any of your?
I don't know. I just more or less, I think, mad at myself.
Just like, oh God, that's.
Yes, and one of my good friends, Jim Flanagan, he got this from another comic. Jim Flanagan's a hilarious comic, but it was like, if you bomb, you allow yourself that night to feel bad about your bomb.
Yeah.
And then you get over it by the next day.
So it's almost like sports. Like,
yeah, you lost, you
do something stupid.
Struck out 3 times. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you get tonight to like cry or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then just move on, because, well, there are 2 guys that came last night that I studied abroad with. Okay. And I think, well, maybe they've come before them, but they came in like 2019 when I was like a year in. And there was a show, they still have it. It's called the Tomato Throw Show at the Comedy Bar. And I'd done an open mic there, and I did really good at the open mic. And the guy was like, oh, will you come do the tomato throw? And I wanted to do the show, and I felt like, oh my God, it's at a club. So I invited a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And the audience gets red sponge balls. Uh-huh. And if people are doing good, they don't throw them. If they're doing bad, they just start chucking. And then there's kind of like a mix where people just, like, the person could be doing fine, but then people are just like, and they throw it. They're throwing balls at you. It's actually horrible. And so
it's like kind of like the what's the Apollo Theater where the guy? Remember that? Like the Motown theater where like a clown would come out.
Oh my God! Yeah. It's like you were just So I was the first person to go, and honestly, it was like the worst 5 minutes of my life. And I was like, oh my God, I have like friends here that I studied abroad with, like friends. Then some of my friends, like older siblings, came. They'd never seen me do this. Yeah. And it was like a very painful 5 minutes. Oh, yeah. And I went backstage afterwards and was like, no one is paying me to do this. Like literally, I am losing money on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just was like, I want to get out of here so bad. Like I just was like, and people are like, keep going, and you're like, oh
that
my
feels even
God,
worse.
yeah. Like, and I went home, and Jimmy Fallon has like, I don't know if he still does it, but he had a while on YouTube, like worst I ever bombed. Yeah. And it's comedians telling their worst bomb stories. Yeah. So I went home that night and just watched it. Like I watched all, Nikki Glazer's, good. Bill Burr. Like I'm like, what's their bomb? And they told their stories, and I'm like,
that's kind of like what we're doing right now in terms of our mental, like,
all
right, you
worst I ever bombed. Yeah.
Like that's kind of similar. Like you get, not that you want people to bomb or do bad.
No, but you like realize that like everyone has. Yeah. So whether you bomb at, an open mic, or you bomb the test, or you bomb whatever, you get back up. So, But I do have to say my redemption was that like in 2022, I did that show again. Okay. So what happens was if you don't, the person that gets the least amount of red balls thrown is the winner. And you get like $75. And then the person that loses so bad gets paid too. I think they felt bad for me. I think there were a lot of guys. I don't think they were going to chuck balls at this 35-year-old woman in business casual.
Yeah.
Like, who is this? But I was just so embarrassed. But then in 2022, I won the tomato throw.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many tomatoes were thrown?
I honestly think like 2.
Wow.
And I went first again, and
somebody's probably just throwing it just to throw it.
Well, yeah. Well, also because you're kind of like,
Yeah, right.
Maybe I wasn't first, but it was like a very similar setup, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this to myself again. And then I won, and I was like, yeah, comeback story.
All right, the other thing I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
I think when I was reading, did you have a social work background, like a social?
Yes, I have my master's in social work that I do not use.
Did you? Because we work. A lot of the stuff that I do with schools is with the social workers. I feel like you would be really good at that.
So, well, I don't know. I think I was like not. I like didn't have. I don't have a normal career path in ad sales.
Yeah.
Like I've just had different. I guess I started ad sales in like 2010. So now I've been, but like for the first, I don't know, 6-8 years out of college, I was like just kind of because I'm really sure what I wanted to do. I was always interested in psychology. They do sometimes say people that go into psychology are trying to figure out what's wrong with them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. For sure.
Like I remember a teacher was like, now some of you are in this room because you might, and I'm like, probably one of those people.
Yeah.
So there, I wonder that too. But I was always interested in psychology and stuff. So, but honestly, I probably would have kept going into social work. Maybe, I don't know. I kind of knew halfway through I wasn't quite sure it was for me.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, when I finished, it was like in the middle of the recession, and there were no jobs in that field, and so which is ironic if you think about it. But there's just and then I took a job somewhere else, and then I never used it.
Yeah, it was just because I was thinking, man, I do think humor goes such a long way. Like even as a teacher, and I'm not like you, I'm not that funny, but
I think you're funny.
No, I'm okay. But like it's more like I do throw in I always thrown in jokes all the time, and I feel like that is the way to reach students. Like,
well, think about your mom. She made it fun. She played a game.
Yeah.
She got people to to laugh and have fun.
Yeah.
And then it makes
even when I discipline kids, like I have this kid the other, I forget when it was, I disciplined him. I sent him to the office, and he came back, and I had to make a joke. I was like, hey, listen, that's not on you. That's on me for making you think that I wouldn't follow through. And the kids started giggling, laughing, and then it was like, all right, we're good now.
Yeah.
And it was just over just a little thing like that. I feel like little bits of comedy always helps with different things. And,
totally.
Yeah. So that's why I thought maybe you would have been a good social. I mean, you're a very good comedian.
Thank you.
I guess you kind of talked about getting into comedy and where do you see it going?
I don't know. I never wanted to be a comedian.
Yeah.
There was never.
I never wanted to be doing podcasts.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Here we are.
Yeah.
I just I went through a breakup. I was 34, and 2 of my friends, Patty Sella and Jackie Kashani, were always telling me to write my funny dating stories down, and I'm like, I'm never gonna do that. And then I was, got dumped, and it was the winter. I was kind of, just sad, and a lot of my friends at this point were married with, 2 kids,
Oh, yeah, and I read your...
Yeah, there were a lot of...
what was the single... there was an article you wrote, and I was like, this is very funny.
Yeah, single... Yeah, that's... Yeah, that's a separate... This is a tangent, but I think it was 2021, and I had to go... I was living in the city, and there was, Potash, I don't know, those small grocery stores.
Oh, yeah.
They're very expensive, but across the street from my house.
Yeah.
So I went there, and I had bought wine for Christmas, and they wrapped it in like newspaper for me to take. And there was like I didn't know what newspaper it was, and it was like, I don't remember the guy writing it, but like it was something about like being single in Chicago, and the guy was like, considering I am a 67-year-old man that's been married for 45 years, I'm not quite sure why I was tasked to write this. Yeah. And then I was like, I could write that. And so it was this paper, it's called Chicago Star. And it was like started as a local paper, and they like are just bringing like good news to Chicago. Yeah. And so I just like reached out to them and was like, would you ever, and they have like a website too. And I was like, would you ever be considered having me write like a funny column? Yeah. And so they did. Yeah. So I wrote like funny dating stories for about a year for them, like it was like a monthly paper. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. No, but so comedy though, Patty and Jackie were always like, write your stories down. And then my therapist at the time was like, are there other things? Cause I'm like, I'm sick of going out like to the bars. Like I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't want to, I was probably on the apps or getting on the apps, and she was like, what about rock climbing? I'm like, what? No. And then and then I was like, my friends told me to write my stories down. And so she's like, maybe look into like a writing class. Mm-hmm. And so I Googled like how to write a funny book. And Second City had a class called Writing the Humorous Memoir. Uh-huh. And so I took it, and I was like, oh my God. I was like this passion that I did not know I had about any of this type of stuff. Just like, it was very like, I was like, I loved it. Like we'd go and we'd like read like an excerpt from a funny autobiography, and then she'd give us a prompt, and we'd have a week to write it. I remember like sending it to my family to be like, what do you think of this? And we'd get feedback on it. And then she had us do a story. We had to tell a story after the class. Yeah. And I invited all my friends, and I always say it was like my baby shower. My bridal shower was at Second City in 2017. And it was like the best, I think still to this day, might be my favorite time on stage ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I've done cool stuff, and I'm like, still, I don't know. People say if you have a good set, you're always chasing that first. Yeah, right. The high from the first set.
Well, have you ever like thought about writing a book?
Because, yeah.
Like I said, I think you're like, I think it's hard to make me laugh with writing. And I thought when I was reading your stuff, I was like, oh, that was like, I was laughing out loud. I think that's really hard to do.
I mean, I've attempted like a fictional book loosely based on my life. Okay. That's just that I did work a lot on that on COVID, and then it just kind of gets put to the side. And then I did a screenwriting retreat a couple of years ago because I was like, oh, this would be kind of funny as a screenplay. Yeah. But then, I kind of do it, but then it's like, I have like my full-time job. Yes, yeah. And then also doing comedy at night. And then since last June, I've really focused on the solo show. Yeah. Wanting to write that and get that down.
Yeah. Well, because also, what's kind of annoying? I used to always consider myself a decent writer. I know I'm just a PE teacher, but I was a good writer. But like the chat, like the AI is almost like at least like no one can ever take the standing up comedy away from you. You know what I mean?
I mean,
the writing part is like, I feel like it's getting taken away. Like books are just going to be written by,
But you can kind of tell.
Yeah, you can tell. But it's getting better. Like it's getting better. Like
I know AI is scary.
Yes, very scary.
And it's so bad for the environment.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. It's like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen with it. I'm like, I hope AI does not become one of my OCD.
Yeah. Sorry, I brought it up.
No, you're right.
I'm trying to think of well, I guess like I said, I think what you're doing is really cool in terms of just it's funny in general, but like the breaking the stigma around something that probably a lot of people haven't even talked about. It's hard to break the stigma, but you almost need someone that's kind of captivating, that can captivate an audience. And I think you're doing that, and I think that's just really cool. And like I said, I'm going to be out there September 11th.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. And I think the same to you. I mean, and I know we talked about this before it was on, but like I think just coming from an athlete's perspective and like, you're talking to these kids.
Yeah.
And also like, I think too, like probably other men.
For sure. Like that is
probably almost more than kids in a way, like, because it's
100%.
like, yeah.
I say that all the time. Like, I'm like, listen, when I will speak to adults, I'm like, kids kind of are starting to get this a lot better than the adults are.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the adults are the ones that I need to talk to more, but specifically the men, like you said. I think there's a lot of people, rates of suicide is so much higher for men because they don't
talk about it.
Yeah, they don't do anything. They don't even go to the doctor for anything. So,
right.
You know what I mean? But yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. That's, it's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess I want to give you a chance to plug what you're doing.
Okay.
So, like, where can people find you? And
love it. They can find me on Instagram at Bridget McGuire Comedy.
Okay.
I am on TikTok, but mostly
TikTok's weird. I've been trying to
it's
master
clunky.
it, but it does get you to the younger crowd.
Right. I do post on TikTok. It's like at Bridget.talks.
Yeah.
But half of me is just more like, somehow I'm like obsessed with like 25-year-old New York influencer drama.
Yeah.
And also like watching like Oprah episodes from 1994, like by like clip by clip by clip. Like it's so, but I'm on TikTok, but I feel like I post mostly on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then the show is going to be Thursday, September 11th at 7:00 at Zany's Rosemont. Parking is free if you get your ticket validated.
Oh,
so if that really
nice.
gets anyone, that gets anyone excited. That's,
I'm telling you, I'm not joking. My wife is like she's kind of like my mom in a sense.
I love
like
it.
A social.
Well, they say you marry your mom,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, right, exactly. She's like a social butterfly, so I think
she's gonna get a crew.
She's gonna get people there.
I love it.
She's someone to stay in touch with whenever.
I just met her yesterday for the first time.
Yeah,
and I always feel like we're old friends.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So, anything else that you wanna?
No, I just want to say thank you for doing this work too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
And I know whatever, but I remember hearing your the eulogy at your mom's funeral, and that was it was one of the best speeches I've ever heard. Talks.
You were there?
I was there.
Oh,
yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I was there.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, of course.
Last question.
Sure.
Okay, okay. Every person that I was saying I was going to talk to Bridget McGuire, let's say Mike Fisher, Dan Loftus, Adam Lynch. There was like 4 more. They go, "Oh, Booty?"
Oh, yes.
And I was like, "What?"
You didn't know my nickname?
I had no idea, and I was like, "Should I ask her?" But I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what is the reason?
It is the worst. It is. So Megan, my sister Megan, who's your sister Katie's age, she was like not on any sport when she was like a freshman in the spring.
Yeah.
And she and some of her friends would come back and they'd be sitting at our house in Springdale from South Campus. Mm-hmm. And, LT got out before St. John's. Mm-hmm. So then I would come home and they would just tear me apart, make fun of me. I remember Bill Blattner and I like walked home together because he like lived on Rugeley. And we like were walking and then he kept going. And I remember just being like, they're like, "Who is that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's just Bill." And they're like, "Oh, just Bill? Just Bill?" And I feel like for like 4 years, they'd be like, "How's just Bill?" And I'm like, he literally is just Bill. Like, he's just my friend. I do not like Bill. Like, I love Bill. Bill's a great guy. But I'm like, he was just my friend. And then, just youngest child, always getting made fun of. So one day, I came home and they were like, "What's up, butt mess?" And I was like, "What?" And they're like, "What's up, butt mess?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "Butt mess, can you hand me a Diet Coke, butt mess?" And I'm like, "What?" And then that night, my mom would make us go around the table and say something good and bad that happened that day.
Yeah.
And when it was my turn, and I was like, "Well, the good thing is, I got an A on my history test. And the bad thing is that Megan and her friends are calling me butt mess." And I don't know why.
That was the worst mistake you made by saying it out loud. That was just going to keep
And then she's like, "Why are you calling her that?" And it's because, this is so dumb, my initials are BM as in bowel movement. And so they shortened it to butt mess, and then it went to booty mess, and then it went to booty. And it has stuck with me since I was 13 years old.
I'm telling you, every person, like, they were like, "Booty." And Fisher said it once. I was like, "What are you talking about?" But then like 3 more people said
Sometimes
it.
I used to be like, do people know my, like I have, like actually someone did ask me when I was a senior, like, is that on your birth certificate? I'm like, no, what? Do you think that's my name is Booty?
That's like my nickname was the Chimp.
It was?
Don't know why. My entire family, if you ask, they'll all call me the Chimp.
Something must have happened when you were like little? Or
I guess, and it just sticks.
It just stuck.
And then if you ever complain about it, then it's for sure.
Right. And I did always want like attention. Like, so I did always want, braces and glasses and a nickname.
Yeah.
I just didn't want one regarding bowel movements. But here we are. I know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, again, thank you for doing this.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. I'm glad I got, like I said this before, and I'm actually serious. I'm glad I got you before you really got
I know that actually
super big.
Oh, God. I thought you meant before the show at the Elm.
No. Well, that too. I'm glad I got to see it first, but I'm glad I got you here before you became too big time.
All right. Yeah. Let's manifest that.
Yes, exactly. So thank you. And like I said, I really think it's not an exaggeration to say that you can change lives with what you're doing. And you could save a life. And I really think, hopefully, that gives you, I know when I go around and I talk, I say 90% of the reason is I want to help all of you, but 10% of the reason is it makes me feel good knowing that I'm doing something, and I'm hoping you get that feeling too, because I know that I have that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I selfishly did not do it to help people. That sounds so bad. But then I was like so blown away by the responses I got from people saying that it helped them, and I was like, oh. Great. Yeah.
Exactly. You share, like I always say on this podcast, you share your story to help others, but by doing so, you end up helping yourself, because that's the Maley way. Thank you.
I don't know if I should do it with you.
Well, let's do it, right?
Okay.
Because that's
the Maley way.